This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNN.Live. We're coming to you live from the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2019 in Las Vegas. I have with me Robert Reed, MedAdvisors. It's a publicly traded company on the ASX, and the symbol is MDR. Robert, welcome to SNN.Live.
Great to be here, Shelley. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. Let's get started with a brief overview of the company, and we'll continue from there.
Great. MedAdvisor is all about making medication manageable for millions of patients around the world, and we've started in Australia very successfully.
Now, what's some history behind the company?
Yeah, the company was founded by Josh Swinnerton, who was working over here in the US, working with PBMs to help manage pharmacy systems, and realised that his mum had Parkinson's, rheumatoid arthritis, and was really struggling to manage her medication and to fill scripts and to know where she was at. And so he thought, this is crazy. In a time where we can do mobile banking, internet banking, why can't we do it more effectively, medication management through our mobile devices or online? And so he set about doing that and got some investment to fund that business and kick it off in 2013.
What makes the company unique?
Well, the company in Australia has been really unique because it's been very patient-centred. It's been focused on helping that patient feel in control and empowered. So we integrate with all the dispense systems in Australia, and that allows us to get a live medication list to feed back to the patient. And they get that it can update as frequently as every 15 minutes. So they know at any point how much supply they've got left, what the medication is, what the doctor's instructions are, and that really helps them know where they're at with medication, particularly if they're managing multiple medications or they're older. And it also allows them to order in advance, and being able to really manage that convenience and just not skip the queue at pharmacy or with your doctor. It's a major advantage for patients. So that's been a really unique part of the proposition.
Has it been found to help with compliance?
It has, Shelley. It's in Australia we've seen adherence levels lift up to 20%, and that's really focused on the reminder part of it. So reminding you that it's now time to take your dose, reminding you it's time to go and see your doctor or have your script refilled, and helping that has been a major impact. But we've also introduced program funders. So these are like your pharma companies who want to reach patients, and they need to reach the right patient, and they need to be able to influence their behaviour so that they can lift their adherence and their compliance. And that's what we've been able to do successfully in Australia, and we're now looking to take it internationally.
What do you feel is your competitive advantage?
Well, certainly I think the focus on the patient has been a huge one. Secondly, it's about our integration and our ability to provide live, up-to-date information to the patient that uses a whole bunch of algorithms at the back to make sure it's right. And it's one thing to build an app, it's another thing to display the right information to a patient every time. And that's what we've done in Australia over the last 6 or 7 years. We're over 1 million patients in Australia. We have another 8 million that we can influence through the pharmacy channel directly, leveraging the pharmacist and knowing that, hey, Shelley's come in today, he's eligible for these 2 services, and we notify the pharmacist at that point, that critical point, so they don't need to think about it. And that helps them drive their revenue, drive the patient outcomes, and have a better, more fulfilling business.
It sounds like it also drives customer loyalty.
Spot on. That's exactly right. So MedAdvisor patients in Australia are about 97% loyal to their nominated pharmacy, which is a huge improvement in terms of the connectedness, both from a health outcomes, but also from a revenue perspective from a pharmacy. So we talk about it being significantly, each patient is worth about $200 per patient, per pharmacy, per year in additional revenue. So there should be no restriction to how many people get onto this.
What would you say is your target markets?
So it's definitely the US. The US is a big opportunity for us. Australia is 2% of the world's medicines market, so we need to operate on a global scale. But to do that, we don't need to replicate the business model that we've done in Australia exactly. We need 3 core ingredients. First is that we have a data flow, so we're getting the script information. Second is we have a patient consent or patient consent model, and the third is that we can introduce program funders or people who want to reach these hard to identify, hard to reach patient populations. And so we've recently announced a deal with a company called Adherence, who do that, the adherence programs for through 26,000 pharmacies in the US, and they are sponsored by pharma to send letters to the home and also point of sale print. And our opportunity with Adherence is to add that digital component that they don't have yet.
And if I said to you, the aging population is your best friend, what would you say?
Spot on. The ageing population is our best friend. In Australia and similar here in the US, about half of the population have a chronic disease already, of all ages. But in Australia, and I think it's similar here, when you're over 45, you've got a 40% chance of having multiple chronic diseases. So you could still be very much in the workforce, managing multiple medications, and you want something that's easier. You want to build your health literacy, you want to understand what you've got, you want to be in control of what you've got, and that's what we're there to do, help do that.
What's your background?
My background's essentially been private equity and venture capital through most of my career. I then had 3 years at GSK where I was Director of Strategy and Commercial Operations there, so that was the first introduction to this global problem of adherence and really finding out how hard it is to influence patient behaviour correctly, and that's something I worked hard at GSK, so coming into MedAdvisor was a very aligned move for me.
So you're a public company. From what you can tell me, what are some growth drivers?
Well, no doubt the biggest growth driver is the US opportunity. We've also recently announced that we are working on a joint venture in Asia with a large company there called Zulig Pharma. They're about a $14 billion company in Asia, wholesale and distribution and diversified healthcare. So they're bringing our tech into the Asian region in a 50-50 joint venture, and then they will be the sales arm for that. So we're pretty excited about that opportunity as well.
Let's get your website out for more information, if you would.
Our website is www.medadvisor.com.au, and that's OR for MedAdvisor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Reid, MedAdvisor. It's an Australian publicly traded company on the ASX, and the symbol is MDR. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNN.Live, coming to you live from the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2019 here in Las Vegas. Robert, pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much, Shelley. Great to be here.
And I'm happy you made the trip over.
Me too. Thank you.